You know what's wild? Right now, there are people in America pulling in $120,000 a year who are more financially fragile than someone making $45,000 in 1995, more stressed, more trapped, more one missed paycheck away from a crisis. And if you've ever Googled, "Why am I always broke?" at 11 p.m. after getting paid that same morning, this video is for you. Because what I'm about to show you isn't just a budgeting problem. It's not a spending problem. It's a system problem. A trap so well engineered that the more successful you become inside it, the deeper it pulls you in. This is the salary trap. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how it works, why it's designed the way it is, and most importantly, the real strategy for getting out. Let's get into it. Here's where we are right now in America. Median household income crossed $85,000 for the first time in 2023, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. That's a record. On paper, Americans are earning more than ever, and yet a 2024 survey by Bankrate found that 57% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency from savings, not a car repair, not a medical bill, $1,000. Let that sink in for a second. Record incomes, record financial fragility. This is not a coincidence. This is the salary trap operating exactly as designed. Think about how the average American earner moves through life. You go to school, maybe take on student debt, land a decent job, and your salary climbs. 55K, then 75K, then maybe six figures. And at every single step, you feel like you're getting closer to that dream. Financial security, freedom, options. But somehow, month after month, the money is gone before you even felt it arrive. Your bank account resets to near zero like clockwork. And the really scary part, you can't tell people you're struggling because from the outside, you look successful. That right there is the trap's first and most dangerous feature. It's invisible from the outside, and barely visible from the inside. Let's be honest about what we're really chasing here. It's not just a number on a paycheck. Nobody lays awake at night dreaming about their gross salary. What people actually want is freedom, the ability to say no to a job that's slowly crushing them, the ability to take a month off without financial panic, the freedom to take a calculated risk on a business idea, or retire early, or just breathe. That's the real goal, financial freedom, and the system is very, very good at selling you a convincing imitation of it. Meet Alex. Alex is 36, lives in suburban Atlanta, and earns $115,000 a year as a project manager in a logistics company. By any traditional measure, Alex has made it. Nice neighborhood, 2 cars, a house with a good school district nearby, a 401k he contributes to because HR told him he should. Alex also hasn't taken a real vacation in 3 years because the timing never felt right. He hasn't seriously explored the business idea he keeps notes on in his phone. And the last time his company went through a round of layoffs, he didn't sleep properly for 6 weeks, not because he was laid off, but because the possibility terrified him that much. Alex wants what most of us want. He just can't see what's standing in his way yet. Here's how the salary trap actually works. It doesn't rob you, it redirects you, and it does it with 2 incredibly effective weapons. Weapon 1, fragmentation. When Alex gets his bi-weekly direct deposit, his brain registers a large number, but that money is already spoken for before he touches it. Mortgage, car payments, 2 of them, insurance, subscriptions he barely uses, utilities, groceries. By the time he's done with all the automatic and habitual withdrawals, he has maybe $200 of genuine discretionary money left. The psychological trick here is that he never experiences the full paycheck as a lump sum. It arrives, it scatters, and what's left feels like the paycheck itself. His brain isn't registering the $4,400 that came in, it's registering the $200 that feels like his. And $200 doesn't build wealth, it buys comfort, a dinner out, a small, completely reasonable reward that reinforces the entire cycle. Weapon 2. Lifestyle inflation, or what I'd call the golden handcuff factory. Every time Alex got a raise, something interesting happened. The raise felt like freedom, but within 90 days it had been absorbed. The old apartment felt cramped once he could afford better. The practical car felt like settling once his income said otherwise. Each upgrade was logical, earned, even deserved, but each one also raised his financial floor, raised the minimum income he needed just to maintain his life. So now his raises don't give him options, they give him obligations. And the cruelest part of this whole thing is that the stress level doesn't really change. Research from Princeton has suggested that beyond a certain income threshold, more money stops meaningfully reducing day-to-day emotional distress if your expenses rise in lockstep. The person earning $35,000 and the person earning $135,000 can be on the exact same anxiety because the gap between their income and their spending is nearly identical. The salary doesn't determine your freedom. The gap does, and the system is meticulously designed to keep that gap as small as possible. For Alex, the turning point came during a routine meeting where his company announced they were restructuring his division. He wasn't fired, but for 3 hours he thought he might be. And in those 3 hours, he realized something that changed everything. He had no runway. Zero. If that meeting had gone differently, he calculated he could last maybe 5 weeks at his current lifestyle before things got genuinely serious. 5 weeks after a decade of six-figure earning. He wasn't building a life, he was renting one every month from a dozen different creditors and service providers who all quietly counted on his continued employment more than he did. That night, he wrote down 3 questions that he'd never seriously asked before. How much do I actually own versus how much do I owe? Where does money go that I don't consciously choose to send it? And what would it take to actually become optional for this job to have? Those 3 questions are the beginning of escaping the salary trap. Here's what Alex did and what the research on wealth building actually supports. Step 1. Separate income from wealth permanently in your mind. A salary is a flow. Wealth is a stock. Water flowing through a pipe isn't the same as water stored in a tank. Alex started measuring his financial health not by what he earned annually, but by his net worth trajectory, what he actually owned minus what he owed, and whether that number was growing. This mental shift alone changes the questions you ask every month. Step 2. Defend the gap aggressively. This means treating lifestyle inflation as the financial threat it actually is. Not every raise needs to produce a corresponding upgrade. Alex kept his housing cost flat for 2 years after a promotion. He didn't feel deprived, he felt, for the first time, like he had leverage. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, households that consistently save 15 to 20% of income regardless of income level are dramatically more likely to achieve early financial independence than high earners who save sporadically. Step 3. Convert the gap into assets, not savings accounts, assets, things that generate returns while you sleep. Index funds tracking the S&P 500, which has averaged roughly 10% annually over the long term. Dividend-paying stocks that create passive income streams. Real estate where rent covers costs and builds equity. Even a side business builds slowly on evenings and weekends. Alex started with a simple automated transfer, a fixed percentage of every paycheck going into a low-cost index fund before he could spend it. Not heroic, not complicated, but compounding is patient, and patience is the one thing the salary trap teaches you to never develop. Step 4. Build optionality. Your emergency fund is actually a freedom fund. The goal of 3 to 6 months of expenses saved isn't just financial security, it's psychological architecture. The moment you have that buffer, the entire power dynamic of your employment relationship shifts. You negotiate differently, you tolerate less, you think more clearly about whether the path you're on is actually going where you want to go. Alex hit that milestone 14 months after that restructuring meeting, and the very next week, he had a salary negotiation conversation with his manager that he'd been avoiding for 2 years, and walked out with an $18,000 increase, not because his leverage changed on paper, because it changed in his head. Here's the bottom line. The salary trap is real. It's not a paranoia. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just the predictable result of a system that benefits enormously from your financial dependency, your landlord, your lender, your employer, and that actively, if silently, discourages you from building the kind of independence that would give you real choices.
The good news is that it is completely escapable. Not by earning more, though that helps, not by grinding harder, though discipline matters, but by seeing the system clearly and making deliberate, boring, consistent choices that prioritize wealth over lifestyle, assets over obligations, and optionality over comfort. Stop asking how to make more money. Start asking why all your money leaves. Stop measuring success by salary. Start measuring it by how long you could survive and thrive without one. That's the real number. That's the real goal. If this video made you think differently about your paycheck, your expenses, or your actual financial position, that's exactly what this channel is here for. We break down the real mechanics of money, wealth psychology, and the systems that shape your financial life every week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment below telling me if you quit your job tomorrow, how many months could you genuinely survive?